Hi, I'm Katherine Kellogg, and I'm a former shopaholic. If you struggle with shopping too much, or if you are a reformed shopaholic, please let me know in the comments section down below. It has been years. It has been a journey. And if you ask any of my roommates in college, they will all 100% vouch for the fact that I used to shop a lot. They called my dorm room the closet, and I had a dress library for sorority functions where people would come to my room and check out dresses to wear to different formal events, which honestly, +1 for the swapping and sharing community. And I maybe was the original Rent the Runway. So, And then people would bring the dresses back, and then they would continue to swap and share. I've always loved shopping. I've always loved costumes. I am a theater girly, and getting into costumes and being surrounded by costumes is something that I have always loved so much. But then I realized you don't need to own everything to appreciate everything, which is going to be one of our tips later up in this video. But if you agree with that statement, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Going Zero Waste YouTube channel. I am so happy you're here. Let's get into the tips so you can completely transform the way you think of shopping without having to go to some super extreme measures like a complete no-buy year. No-buy years are really, really popular right now, and that certainly can be really helpful. But it can also produce a kind of binge cycle after you stop participating in the no-buy year if you haven't really worked on the internal aspects of shopping. If you want to rewire your brain to stop shopping, you should start going through your own closet and pulling things out and styling and have fun and play dress up. Play dress up in your own closet, because this can spark a lot of new life into pieces that you already have. And it can also help you pay more attention to what you actually like and what flatters you and what feels good on your body. Maybe it's a certain neckline, maybe it's a certain way that you layer, maybe it's a certain color that you realize that you're really drawn to, or maybe you keep buying a color that you don't like and you're like, wow, that doesn't look that great. So I want to switch that, and I don't want to buy that even though it's something that I'm drawn to. Take the time to start studying what you buy, what you like, what you don't buy, what you don't like, and then start creating a criteria. For me, I really love tanks as opposed to short sleeves. I don't like things that cut in really tight under my armpits. I don't want any clothing that I have to fuss with or mess with or pull down or pull up. I want my clothing to hang nicely. I want to be able to move in my clothing. I also realize I don't like really deep V-necks, and I have a lot of really deep V-neck clothing, and I have realized that I just don't really jive with that neckline too much. I have to be able to walk 2 miles in basically all of my shoes because I live in a walkable area and I walk a lot. That is something that's really important to me, is to have footwear I can actually use and looks good and is super comfortable. Narrow down my color palette, which maybe is also another tip, is I narrow down my color palette to the colors that I really, really love. And that also helps keep me really focused at the thrift store on knowing exactly what colors that I'll bring into my wardrobe and what I'll have to be able to mix and match with existing pieces. Want to stop shopping, you need to be and feel prepared, because so many of us go to our closet, we open it up and we think, wow, I have absolutely nothing to wear. When you probably have a ton of stuff, it's just that you're not necessarily maybe buying for who you really are, or you haven't really put outfits together that make sense in your mind. A great way to think about this and break this down is, how many times do you go to work and what kind of clothing do you need for work? How many times do you go out on a date night? How many times do you need outfits for that kind of event or experience? How many times are you going out and running errands or doing casual work? How many times are you doing yard work or cleaning the house? How many outfits do you need for that? How many times are you working out during a month? And once you can pinpoint most of the activities that you participate in regularly, you can understand what kind of outfits you need. And then you can look at your closet from a more mathematical approach to say, okay, well, I work out 5 times a week, so I'm going to need at least 5 workout outfits, if that's how often I'm doing laundry, is once a week. Which brings us to today's sponsor, June's Journey. I downloaded this recently and I've really been enjoying it. If you're into period dramas, BBC-style whodunits, or like me, were a Nancy Drew girly growing up, this game is totally your vibe. It's a hidden object mystery set in the glamorous 1920s, and the lead character gives big Miss Fisher energy. You play as June, a sharp and stylish detective, solving puzzles and slowly unraveling a mystery and maybe some hidden family secrets along the way. I've been playing it backstage during rehearsals rehearsal as a quiet activity when I have some large chunks of downtime. And after a long day, especially when I'm still wired from 3 hours of dancing, I can cool down, stretch, and solve a bite-sized mystery. The puzzles are super satisfying, and you also get to decorate your own island as you go. There's also seasonal events and rewards to spice things up. You can download June's Journey for free using the link below or with the QR code. Often do a workout 2 to 3 times a week. I'm in rehearsal 3 to 4 times a week, and then I sometimes go to dance class on top of it. I need a lot of clothing that I can move in. And I love buying fancier clothing in that category, but I don't go to fancy places very often. So that is one place I need to quit buying things. And so if you have any gaps, you can also shop smarter to be able to fill those gaps. Whenever you go to your closet, you'll know exactly what you need. So you have the pieces you need and you feel like you're able to easily put together outfits that you feel confident and comfortable in, you become a lot harder to market to. It is amazing how much contentment helps in stopping shopping. That's fun to say, stopping shopping. Being content with what you already have means you're a lot less likely to go out and buy new things. Because you can simply say, wow, I'm really content with what I have. I don't need anything new right now. Sometimes there are a few trends that will get you. And this is where we come into a very important tip, which is where are we in the trend cycle? Something that I find to be absolutely fascinating is watching how I feel about trends. I'm going to use the UGG minis as an example. UGG minis became super, super popular a few years ago. I would say that I think they're definitely on the downward slide. They were coming up. On the upswing, when I started seeing them more and more, I thought they were the ugliest shoes I had ever seen. And then I found myself browsing online on a secondhand site for a pair of UGG minis. And immediately right then, I knew that I did not need this shoe because I remember thinking that I don't really like them. And then I only was liking them now because I've been exposed to them so much that I was thinking about getting them. And if you ever find yourself in that position, do not buy it because what it means is it is at the end of the trend cycle. It has reached way past peak and you're going down on the other side and they're going to be out of fashion in maybe a year, if you're lucky, and then you're gonna think, wow, I never even liked these in the first place. When you're thinking about trends or you're thinking you might wanna buy into something that you think is really gonna last and have a lot of staying power, try and figure out where you are in the trend cycle and whether or not that is just your brain responding to that because you've been exposed to it so many times. One of my major rules that I always have is 100% yes. When you put something on your body that you know you love, it is a full body 100% yes. And we don't settle for anything less than that. So if you are gonna buy something and you put it on your body, you better say, wow, that is 100% yes. If you're still struggling with impulse buying, make sure to check out my whole video on avoiding impulse purchases. One of the great takeaway tips from that is the 30-day buy ban. I have talked about this for years and it completely revolutionized my spending because sometimes by just waiting, you escape that trigger because just by waiting a few days, you'll realize that you didn't really actually need or want that item. So to implement a 30-day buy ban, this is obviously a lot less extreme than doing a whole no-buy year. It's just to simply take a breath and wait. See if you actually want that item, if you actually need that item. And if you're shopping in a regular store, most likely you will be able to buy that item at a later day. So if you see something you like, say, you know what, I'm going to think about that for 30 days. This gives you so much time to go back to your house to look at what you already have. Maybe you have something similar. Maybe you can try and thrift something. Maybe you can find something from a friend that you can borrow. And it is a great way for you to just take a pause and take a breath and make sure that what you bring into your home is something that you will love and something that you will actually use. If you're at a secondhand store and you see something and you want it, I always play by what I call the universe's rules, in that if I was meant to have this, it will be here ready for me when I come back. But most of the time, I keep kind of a running list. So as I'm going through my wardrobe, I think, wow, I really could use a new XYZ. Or, you know what is a major gap I feel like I'm missing in my wardrobe would be a pair of linen pants. I've added 4 pieces of clothing to my wardrobe this year. I've added 2 tank tops And I have added 2 pairs of linen pants. And I love these linen pants so much that I kind of want to get a brown or tan color to add into my rotation. So light and so breezy. Oh, perfect. So I'm adding that to my list, but these are things that I know I want, and I have really thought about this purchase and how it's going to fit into my wardrobe and fit in with everything that I already have to ensure that they're actually going to get worn. So I can add this to my list. I've waited way more than 30 days, which is a tan or brown or striped pair of linen pants. And if I ever find those when I'm out thrifting, I can just go ahead and grab them because I've already thought about this purchase. There are a few things on my to thrift list. Maybe I should check it out. Maybe I should check out my little to thrift list. See what's on there. Sometimes things have been on there for years, and then I just check them. I just mark them off because I realize I don't even need those anymore. I don't even want them anymore because it's been so long. I really want to find a pair of French combs for my hair. I really want a wooden salt cellar. I might buy that new, but if I see a nice one that is new in a thrift store, I will totally grab it. Oh, I really want vintage cocktail skewers. Can't wait to find those in an antique store. That'd be so cool. I want a white chunky knit cardigan or black one or a navy. So I really want a chunky knit cardigan. I'm always on the look for that. But clearly I haven't needed it that bad, but it's just something that I think, oh, you know what? This would go really, really well with my wardrobe. And it's something that I think I would wear a lot. And so having those thoughts as I'm getting dressed helps me figure out what I actually truly need. This might hurt some people's feelings, but shopping is not a hobby. Shopping is not a hobby. Buying things is not a hobby. You can purchase things for a hobby, but buying things is not a hobby. Fashion can absolutely be a hobby. Styling can be a hobby. Being able to work and create or craft or learn and possessing knowledge, that is all a part of a hobby. Just going to the mall and buying things is not a hobby. So many people treat shopping as a hobby. It also is a major way that a lot of our foundations are built, such as if you want to spend time with your mom or your friends or your aunt, you're going to go to the mall and go shopping together. So we need to start rewiring our brains and our relationships so that way we're not just only shopping together. So what are some other activities that you can participate in to be able to continue to have freedom of expression, to be able to connect with someone, and you can do this all in a way that doesn't involve going to a mall or going to a shopping center. It'd be a lot more fulfilling, as well as saving just so much money because you're not just constantly buying things. And when you are with someone, you're oftentimes very much persuaded by their opinion and what they think. It really doesn't matter what other people think of your fashion choices. What matters is what you think and how you feel. We have to really start training our brains to find what we value and what makes us feel good, rather than relying on other people's opinions, because sometimes those are going to become things that we just don't quite reach for. Realize that you can like something, you can appreciate something, but that doesn't mean you have to own it. It took me a very long time to grasp this concept where I can look at something and say, wow, that is so beautiful. But that doesn't necessarily resonate with me. Being an actor, I always felt like my closet had to contain a multitude of identities for auditioning, or that I have to always hang on to a bunch of pieces of clothing because I love to help costume and I've costumed a few shows. And I always think, oh, what if something comes up and I might need this piece for XYZ? Oh, what if I need to do this? What if I need to do that? And you have all these maybes and these what ifs. And so you keep collecting. And when you go into a store, you can find something that you really love or really resonate with, but it might not be actually practical for who you are and what you need to do in your daily life. So to get out of that mindset, I always tell myself, if I need that, I can always find something else. I have never walked into a thrift store and not found a single thing I liked. I'm always finding things going, wow, I really like that. Wow, that's really cool. I am always going to find things that I like and things that I love. And I have to trust that when I need it, I will also find things that I like and things that I love in the future. My next tip is to create roadblocks for yourself. Create some friction between you and the purchase. Thank you, Nala. Hello. Hello, sweet pea. Let's get a little Nala moment. Hello. Hello. And there's Nala. What a sweet pea. Hear it all the time, but it's so true. Unsubscribe from those marketing emails, because if you don't know a sale's going on, you're probably not going to be that tempted by it. Be really careful about who you're following online. Are you following people on Instagram and TikTok that are going to be selling you a lot of things? Are they going to be using really inflammatory language to make you try and go out and buy things that maybe you don't need? Be careful with who you give your attention to. I've never hung out with my friends and left that hangout thinking, wow, I really wish I could go out and buy more stuff. Instead, I hang out with my friends and I feel so incredibly fulfilled and think, wow, I feel so blessed to have so many amazing people in my life. I wouldn't want to be around a group of people that always made me feel inferior or made me feel like I had to be chasing the next trend or made me feel like I needed to buy more to be a part of that group. And oftentimes when we spend our time on some of these online spaces, that is how we are left feeling. We're left feeling out because we don't have, and then we want to get that to feel a part. And the whole thing is done so you can line someone else's pocket, basically, whether that is a mass corporation or the person who is selling you the thing through their influencer link. Their goal is to make you feel like you are not enough. So instead, try and spend your time with people who do make you feel like you're enough. In real life and virtually. When it comes to shopping and buying, you will never feel complete. There is no sense and feeling of completion. It is always something that is growing. And so many of these places online make you feel, oh, if you had this capsule wardrobe, these 25 pieces, you will be complete. And they're selling you on the idea of closure, which we all so desperately want, but does not exist. So you are never going to buy your way to enough. That is never going to happen. So instead, how can we reframe this just a little bit better? If you have realized that you have a lot of glaring gaps in places in your wardrobe that you truly need to fill to at least help you feel like you have a greater sense or a greater grasp of having things that you are going to wear in your day-to-day life. Because maybe you've done the whole analysis of your calendar, you have taken a look at what your actual needs are, and you realize you have a bunch of gaps. Set a budget for yourself each month where you can budget and put aside a certain amount of money that can be spent for achieving closer to an overall feeling of more roundness. Maybe we'll call it more roundness. And having that budget will help give you a little bit more clarity on where you're spending and hopefully help you avoid some impulse purchases. And when you have that budget, try and make really smart choices. Support more sustainable fashion brands. Support quality. Support things that are really going to last. Shop secondhand. One of the reasons I love shopping secondhand is I can get very, very high quality pieces and much more affordable prices. Local consignment stores, vintage shops, or even just your average thrift store. Using all of these tips, I have basically been able to avoid almost all of my shopaholic tendencies. I'm no longer buying hordes and hordes of clothing, instead being very specific with what I want, and I know what I want based on how I actually move through my life, what actually makes me comfortable, and what I feel good in. It has truly saved me so much money, and I found a lot more peace and joy with getting dressed. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if there are any trends that you bought into that maybe you regret or trends that you bought into that you absolutely love. I'm Katherine Kellogg, and please hit that thumbs up button and press the big red subscribe button to be notified when new videos are coming out. And don't forget, you can download June's Journey for free using my link in the description box or this QR code. A huge shout out and thank you to them for sponsoring this video as well as supporting sustainable living content.